kick things off, we are going to keep it focused on NWSL to start because there is still free agency happening. We don't have a ton of news here though, Lisa. There's not. We thought maybe we'd get some splashier things once that deadline hit, and we obviously spoke a little bit about the Kelly Herrera news from Spirit to Gotham, but who knows, maybe because of the international window, because of this holiday window, maybe some of those negotiations or conversations slowed down a little bit between players and respective clubs.
They were too busy eating pie to like make some trades.
Listen, I can't even judge them for that. I hope it was what was it, Apple Crisp?
Apple Crisp, yeah.
I hope it was one of those. But we got some news, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about that. I think we're going to start and keep it with Gotham FC because, listen, this is the team that is delivering the goods. They are delivering the news. They are the crisp apple pie of the free agency right now. They're the ones that are dropping and making the moves and like giving us the news to talk about. So in the previous episode, before we took a little holiday break, we talked about them a lot, how they, we had Ashlyn Harris announce her retirement, Kelly Herrera making a public announcement. Now we get another bit of news. Gotham FC has signed goalkeeper Abby Smith to a 3-year deal. She's joining the club by way of Portland Thorns FC. And listen, this was one of those signings similar to O'Hara where we say, listen, this is an experienced player that they're bringing in to a very important position. And while Michelle Betos is another one of those like very experienced goalkeeper when it comes to NWSL keepers in the league, and Handcuff is someone who is growing in the league, I'm looking at Abby Smith and I am begging Gotham to give her a shot at that starting position.
I think she deserves it, right? Because when you look at where Gotham played last year between Betos and Harris, and honestly, even when we looked back to last offseason when Racing Louisville let go of Michelle Betos and then Gotham picked her up, that was shocking to me. I was like, Betos is a fantastic goalkeeper. And then she went to Gotham where she was frankly playing behind Ashlyn Harris. Now, Ashlyn Harris was dealing with a bit of injuries in this last year that she played of her professional career. So Betos did see significant time. So now that it's really just Betos and Abby Smith with experience there. There's also Handcuff at Gotham. That was a 2022 draft pick, Hensley Handcuff. With Abby Smith coming in, this adds depth and it adds a bit of experience. She's a 29 years old goalkeeper. She's been in the league for a long time. She's been with Boston Breakers and Utah Royals. So she's been with teams that don't even exist anymore, Kansas City, and then with Portland. But she only played in one match last year with Portland as the backup goalkeeper in the 2022 season behind Bella Bigsby, who had a fantastic season, but did get that some time away from Thorns. So Smith did get a couple minutes there, but I mean, this is a great move for Gotham. This Gotham, right? Like this is the team right now that's actually acquiring a lot of different things. They've gotten Juan Carlos Amoros as their head coach. They've gotten Kelly O'Hara. They had a huge announcement in Ashlyn Harris retiring. Like, so the news cycle has really been focused on Gotham. But the fact that they got this goalkeeper at Abby Smith, I'm very pleased for Abby. Happy that she's going to New York and Gotham. I'm pleased for Gotham. I think this is a great goalkeeper. But like, there are other teams that I'm like, hey, you guys need goalkeepers. You look at Washington Spirit, they have one goalkeeper listed on their roster. So like, those are the things I'm looking at and thinking about. I mean, constantly, I'm always like, well, why isn't this team talking about this? And we don't know those conversations or what's happening, but great get for Gotham and Smith. And I hope she gets minutes. I hope she gets a shout. And I think that this offseason and preseason could be a competitive race in the goalkeeper position at Gotham between Betos and Abby Smith.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, listen, we hear all about how within this league in American domestic women's football, how, competition is good for the group, iron makes iron, stronger. We hear all those, typical kind of metaphors and things like that. But I think signing Smith just sort of bulks up that goalkeeping core. I think this is a player, you know, who, rest in peace to the Boston Breakers. But I remember, Abby Smith getting, being the starting goalkeeper for Boston Breakers in back in 2016. And this was in light of, them losing a pretty prolific goalkeeper and somebody like Alyssa Nair. So there was a big trade that happened. So it was like, who's going to fill that hole? Because for a very, very long time, Boston Breakers was this kind of team where they would concede goals. They would struggle on, in their defensive shape. It would really, there would be a lot of games that would sort of turn into goalkeeper games, that would turn into a game that was coming to the goalkeeper. And if you were going to be in the post for Boston Breakers, you were probably going to face some shots. So, to sort of see her go from team to team to team, knowing that she has that experience, it still hasn't been able to kind of break through and kind of regain a starting goalkeeping position in this league specifically, is both surprising and unsurprising, because at this point, look, there's only 12 teams in the league, right? So a starting goalkeeper position is very limited and few and far between. And there's a lot of great goalkeepers out there. And Abby Smith is one of those keepers. So I'm hopeful that the pool of goalkeepers that are in place for Gotham right now can sort of meld themselves into this kind of like goalkeeper by committee. Like I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see different starts by different goalkeepers. I know that's maybe not something that a coach wants to do. You want to have stability in that position. But I think in light of a World Cup year, I think Gotham has a real opportunity here in which there's going to be good competition for that goalkeeping position. And whoever ultimately locks that role up, whoever wins that role coming out of preseason, is going to be that starting goalkeeper for Gotham.
Right. I mean, goalkeeping is one of the trickiest positions in football, because obviously you're not a field player. Like, you are a goalkeeper. It's very specific to what you do, and we never see it rotated. Rarely do we see it rotated, especially mid-game. So it comes down to preseason. It comes down to your consistency. It comes down to all the little things you're doing. And the fact that Betos has been at Gotham, I think that gives her a little bit of a leg up, but also new head coach coming in. So it's almost a clean slate for these goalkeepers to try to battle and win that starting position. Because if you're that goalkeeper that is not getting the starting role, I'm not even going to say number two, because so often it's, hey, they should both be starting at different teams. It's just, this is what we went with last week, and they're really starting to gel well with the defense, and they got a shutout last week. Like, let's keep going. So it's, if you don't break in at the beginning, it is incredibly hard to break in and get that, because that position isn't just rotated. I mean, like, this sounds elementary, but like when you look at even a defender, even a center back, they can be subbed in the last 10, 15 minutes of a game, and then they get minutes, and then they get consistency. With goalkeeping, that doesn't happen. And once you start getting game minutes as a goalkeeper, your status is elevated compared to the other goalkeepers, just because you have that experience. It's the toughest position, honestly.
No, absolutely. And I think like Smith as a goalkeeper sort of shown like the type of routine that she can, can put together, the type of, work ethic that she has. I mean, coming out of the Breakers, sustaining a knee injury and having to rehab, back to form, and really doing that, and winning that starting goalkeeper, job for 2017, and then sort of rolling that over into Utah roles. That's the other thing too, like, having been moved around at this point in your career and as many different teams as you have been, and still maintaining that level of professional and maintaining that routine as a pro athlete can be really, really difficult. I mean, like we've heard players, coming out into this season as they finally negotiated their historic CBA, how like sometimes navigating your career as a pro in NWSL was really, really tough, like not just physically, but also mentally. So when you're looking at some of these players and some of, their journeys throughout the league, I think Abby Smith is one of these players that you look at and sort of can walk away impressed and saying that, like, listen, she's been with multiple teams, that she's been a starter. She's capable of being a starter. She's shown that, but she's also been in areas where she's had to play a supporting role. And being asked to come in and step in off the bench is not an easy thing to do, especially if you're that goalkeeper. And we saw her do that with Portland on their championship run. And now she's going to get a different opportunity with Gotham. So I'm excited to see sort of how this pans out for the New York, New Jersey side here. And we'll see. It's something we'll keep an eye on for sure. I think as preseason gets closer.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get a little bit of like a probably a better idea closer to who's winning that goalkeeping position. But listen, it's not just Gotham. You know, they're making some of the biggest headline type of moves right now, but other clubs are still in the process of trying to negotiate some of these deals with their free agents who still have ties to their club. For example, with San Diego Wave FC, they and Mackenzie Doniak have agreed to go ahead and exercise an option. And Mackenzie Doniak will be returning with the Wave, but they also announced that they've re-signed Kaylee Kurtz to a 2-year deal. So look, we've got another team to talk about here besides Gotham.
I know. I like this. It's a lot of, honestly, Gotham is the one that's changing things, but a lot of other clubs have come out with announcements that they're re-signing or they're exercising options. I love the one for Mackenzie Doniak. This is a forward that came in and 3 goals, 2 assists. She was a game changer for this San Diego side coming in and playing off the bench. So she'll be with San Diego until the 2023 season. And then Kaylee Real coming in for San Diego for the 2024 season, re-signing that. So that's really great to see. But otherwise, like Ali Watt re-signing with Orlando Pride, Cece Kaiser staying with Current for a 2-year deal through the 2024 season. Morgan Weaver staying with Portland Thorns through 2024. Yuki Nagasato, Aaron Wright with Chicago, staying on for a 1 year for Nagasato, 2 year for Aaron Wright. I think that Sam Coffey is a big name that a lot of people know. Yeah. She was Rookie of the Year finalist. She made her way onto the U.S. Women's National Team as a defensive midi. The 23-year-old, she was a rookie last year. She has signed a contract extensions with Portland Thorns through the 2025 season. So Portland doesn't want to let that player go. They know she's going to be a big-time player for club and country. So I that was one that I highlighted and circled on was Sam Coffey. But like Sam Hyatt with OL Reign staying there. There's just been a lot of re-signs and re-uppings. I think Sam Coffey was one of the bigger ones that I saw.
There's absolutely been off-season news. I think with the introduction of something like free agency, I think folks were trying to brace themselves for a potentially kind of like, you know, breaking news, kind of like really first of its kind type of groundbreaking era in NWSL. And that just kind of hasn't quite happened yet. We'll just say yet. But there has been, like you said, a lot of other kind of, you know, options that are being extended to players, and those players obviously taking a look at those options and seeing if that's the best one for them. And I think probably Sam Coffey is probably that biggest one. I think after that breakout rookie season, if you're Portland Thorns, you absolutely are trying to make sure that you're still building and growing with this young player. So that was very, very cool to see. But we're keeping an eye on everything as usual. And hopefully the next time we get together and maybe try to take a closer look at free agency, we'll have some different and additional news to talk about with everyone on the show.